My life, our lives, that's life. That's Life with Sheran Keyton, chatting about love, life, and everything in between. Your life, my life, our lives, that's life. Your life, my life, our lives, that's life. Your life, my life, our lives, that's life. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to That's Life with Sheran Keyton. I'm so excited that you all have continued to join me time after time after time. It really means a lot to me. Today is probably one of my favorite episodes like ever. If you know me, or if you're just now getting to know me, you know that I love. It's, for me, the good, the bad, the indifferent, all of it. I love. If you've been in my presence, I loved on you, whether you wanted it or not. And I have a very special couple here today that has managed to do something that a lot of people aren't able to do and live to tell about it. So they have celebrated 42 years of marriage here recently, and I want to talk about it. I want you all to know about it. What is the formula for everlasting love? So that's what I named this episode, Everlasting Love. I'm not going to hold them up any longer. I'm going to get them on out here. Put your virtual hands together out there in virtual land for William and Esther Collins. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Have a seat. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Yes. I'm so excited. All right. So I have been buying all of my guests these coffee mugs for selfish reasons. I just want y'all to look at me every morning when you drink your coffee. So I figured no better way than to put a big picture of me on your mug. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just want to jump right in. Tell me, and I don't care who goes first, tell me a little bit about you individually, because you're still individuals, and then tell me a little bit about you collectively, who you are, and how this 42 years has been.
Wow.
You go first.
I guess I'll go first. I'm Esther Collins, born in Fort Worth, raised two-parent household with 3 other siblings. Grew up in Fort Worth, love to sing. I'm a part of the church choir. Love life.
I love that.
I love life.
I love that. Okay.
I'm Bill Collins and William Collins, but Bill Collins.
We'll go with Bill. Okay.
I grew up in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
On the north side of Houston in a place called Acres Homes. Most people don't know where that is, but that's on the north side of Houston. Graduated from high school in the mid-60s, 1966. Went to the University of Colorado, played football there for 4 years. Together we have 7 children.
Wow.
Some 23 grandkids. So I love this lady. We've been married for 42 years. This is Esther Dolores. And so we're just thankful to God for 42 years. Thankful that the Lord has blessed us and kept us with good health.
Yes.
And so we don't take that for granted. That's a blessing in and of itself. So that's who we are. A lot of chapters and verses.
A lot of going on in between.
Well done.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. And I surprisingly know where Acres Home is.
Do you?
I do. I filmed I was field producer director for a reality show that filmed in Houston this past spring.
Wow.
And some of the builders that were in the reality show, he's from Acres Home. And the entire time we were filming, every time he'd go, fo, baby. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So I got a crash course in Acres Home, and they've been building all all this affordable housing, luxury homes at affordable prices in Acres Homes. So I got to know it firsthand about a year ago.
Wow.
So yeah, it kind of made me perk up when you said that. I feel like I knew something.
Okay. Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
So you said something that was so very important to me. Well, let me for those and for you all who don't really know me or my story. I am 47 years old. I'm single, married, divorced, and two amazing children. But it just didn't work. I said in one of my previous episodes that it's a lot easier to be in a healthy relationship when you had an opportunity growing up to experience in your home a healthy relationship. And I didn't have that experience. It was me, my mama, and my sister for life. And so, you know, that's what it was. We're strong, independent women. We'll take care of ourselves. We got this. And so that's been my experience. So I'm not going to say that I've given up, because when I started seeing you posting I'm a stalker on social media. When I started seeing you all posting and you're coming up on 42 years, I was like, there's a hope for me. And then I started thinking, okay, I'm 47. He better hurry up and come on, because I need to be healthy to enjoy him for these 42 years. But it really gave me hope. And I think that anybody who sees the two of you together, even if it's just social media posts or see you in videos or in person together, they get a real sense of hope and what could be. And so that's why you're here today, because I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the formula. I want to talk about the times when you kind of maybe look at him or you look at her and go, Lord, for real? Okay, all right. Okay, I know my call and I got it. You know, because, you know, we have those days. And so I just want to talk about it because most importantly, I want them to know if they feel like that's what they want for their lives, because everybody doesn't want to be happy and in love. I don't know why, but it's okay. But everybody doesn't want that for their lives. But if they do, and they find that one, I need you all to spill some of that knowledge and let them know, like the real, what you have to do to keep it together. In a previous episode, we talked about submissiveness and a woman's role in a relationship. I had a friend on who he's 60 years old and he's never been married. And so we talked a lot about why, you know, and so I'm really just, I want to talk about it all. I want to hear about it all. And at the center of it all, no matter how hard I try to be professional and above board for everyone, it is God for me. It's God for me. It's my faith for me. It's speaking to God. It's listening to Him. It's hearing from Him. So I want to talk about all that. So before we run out of time, I'm going to be quiet because I want y'all to be able to talk. Tell me about when you first met him. Tell me about how you knew.
Well, I didn't know.
Okay.
When I first met him. Actually, Bill and I met at Xerox. And he hired me at Xerox.
Okay.
And so we were co-workers, friends, but I had been married before and was really content on being single. Had really said I would not remarry. And we were friends enough that I would tell him, oh no, I would never remarry. So it didn't happen like, okay, look at this guy. Wow, he's really... But because we were friends, I think we both showed each other who we really were. We were not trying to impress. Or I wasn't trying to impress. We were just working. So we got to know, you know, good, bad, and ugly. And that's kind of how it happened. So in terms of, then one day I thought, okay, you know, he's a nice guy. He's laughs. I loved his laugh. He would just break out into this huge, you know,
Just a belly laugh.
Just a good old belly laugh. And that's what I really liked about him. So I don't know what he liked about me. You can tell that. Tell all that stuff. But and we just kind of evolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the friendship was the base.
The friendship, yeah.
Okay.
The friendship
Okay.
and really knowing about this person. I think a lot of times in dating, both are putting on a facade and trying to have their best look at all times, which fades. But because we weren't trying that,
I love that.
I think that helped and has sustained us.
Yeah. I think that is really important. The one that I call the one that got away for me was a nearly 8-year relationship that I was like, this is it. We're getting married. This is it. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about hearing from God here in just a minute, because that was another factor in this, is that I felt beyond a shadow of a doubt that God told me this is the one. Because I was like you. I was like, yeah, I'm single. I'm good. I'm like, I'm divorced. I'm going to raise my kids. I'm going to do my career. I'm going to perform. And I'm good. And along comes this guy. And we were kind of co-workers. We are in this industry. And I was not having it. I was not having it. And eventually, exactly like you said, there were things, and I was just praying. I was like, no, God, we already talked about this now. And I felt beyond a shadow of a doubt that God told me that this man was supposed to be my husband. One of the things that and we're still friends, one of the things that he has since said is that he felt like we were never friends. We went from business partners working together, and then we went into this relationship, but we were never friends. And so I think it's very exciting and wonderful that you say that, and just talking about the importance of being friends and having no pretenses, which for me, that was me anyway, because I'm just me all the time. I'm like, I put it out there. I'm like, this is what you get. I don't care if it's in the workplace, at church, strangers, whoever, they get it all. I'm like, this is it. Take it or leave it or go on somewhere, So I felt like I put it all out there, but that's what he said. He said we were never friends, and how important that was. Have you found that over the years? Because people change, especially when you're young and you get together. People change. I was 16 when I met my husband, and he was 26. And we both were young, but I was young. So by the time I got to be 21, I was like, oh, I don't like him at all. I was like, we have nothing in common. I was like, his personality doesn't gel with mine. I want to be out in the community, serving the community. And he was like, we're giving our money away. And I'm like, so we grew apart. How did you not, in 42 years, how did you not grow apart?
Well, Esther mentioned that we were friends. But the fact of the matter is, throughout our marriage, I know that Esther is my best friend. So, yeah, friends, college roommates or high school guys you maybe he even grew up with. But Esther is my best friend. She really is the closest person in my life. I can't imagine life without her. So things have gone along, but that's the premise of it, is she's my friend. I thought she was a person of integrity, and that's important. I thought she was a person of integrity. Now, I've learned over the years that not only is she a person of integrity, she's brilliant, okay? And she's brilliant not only intellectually, but in her ability to do things, to get things done. She was always very organized, but things like run-of-the-mill taxes, and how your resources are spent. And is there accountability for that? I really do trust her for
I
that.
love that. Yeah.
And so beyond what you may feel as a teenager or even as a young adult, love is important, but love is a verb. Love is not a noun, love is a verb. And so you have to be able to put action and activity with the concept of love. Otherwise, it does grow stale. It's not a practical thing. So while you think of love as a very romantic thing, but it's also a very practical, step-by-step thing. So that's really what I think.
And you know, when the Bible talks about a helpmate fit, what does that mean in each situation? I'm a helpmate fit for Bill, And in terms of what are the roles that he does versus me, we work together. So if I'm better at this, then that may be what society would consider his job to do.
Yes.
But I do it, and vice versa. If he's better at that, you know, Bill is better at, frankly, washing dishes than I am. He is. I'll just throw that stuff together.
Yes.
But we have learned to work together to what works for our home, what works for us, and also to recognize that everything is not a crisis. You know, that
I love that.
we are two people who have decided to stay together, but that doesn't mean we're just totally alike. We have our differences, but learn to say, okay, throw in the white towel and say, okay, I respect your opinion. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. And learn to say, I was wrong for that. I was wrong for how I spoke to you.
Yes.
Instead of just walking around seething, I know I've learned to do that. And Bill is an easygoing guy, I'm telling you.
I was going to say,
Oh my
he
God.
seems really, really, really just laid back and easygoing.
Easygoing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I'd ever get upset in our first stages of marriage and, you know, I'm ready to go, because you bring your baggage and you say, oh, I'm not taking nothing. And Bill would always say, well, you know, I hope you feel better. It's like, what? I mean, you know.
There is a fight supposed to be happening
He
here
wouldn't
right
go
now.
there with me. I'm ready to, you know, I hope you feel better. You know. Okay.
I think I'm going to steal that. Just in all of my relationships in life, at work and everything.
Yeah.
I hope you feel better.
I hope you feel better. Yeah.
I think part of successful relationships, you said it earlier on, each person has to be secure in of themselves. I don't believe grown men ought to have to start or continue to look for themselves. You ought to have found yourself, figured it out, and now you're in the process of getting it done. You're a grown man, you're 21. So the things that you wanted to do, hope you got them done. If not, let's not whine about them. Let's go forward and take care of whatever the responsibility is that you've accepted. Because in marriage, you've accepted a responsibility for your wife, for your children. I don't care if it's blended or all biological. You've accepted that responsibility. Now let's get to it. No whining, no moaning, no complaining. I grew up also in a two-parent home. I don't think I ever heard my father complain.
Wow.
Never, ever.
Yeah.
And he was born in 1910, so if he were living, he would be well over 100 years old. I never heard him complain. He just got it done. My mother as well. She didn't complain. You know, they'd gone through, the Second World War, were married during the Second World War. He was a hardworking guy. Even when he got sick and eventually passed away, I never heard him complain. Never. So I just am a believer in that.
Yes. I think that just that overall, here we go with faith again. I think that you are less likely to be in a place to complain when you are consciously and constantly aware of your blessings.
Right.
And being with someone who is consciously and constantly aware of their blessings. One of the very big conversations that we've had on the show is about finances. And there was conversations on the show and then also just with my friends. And I ask married couples all the time, and then I tell them, you don't have to answer, it's your business. But I'm always curious because everybody in the world who wants to do it right, they go, what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours. But then when you break it really, really down, you have different personalities, different people. They're bringing different things to the table, especially early on in the relationship. And I've admittedly said, I would totally date someone who was way less financially stable than I am. I totally would if they brought everything to the table that I needed and we complemented one another and they loved God first. Like, I totally would with no qualms. But you hit the nail on the head when you said that man has to be comfortable in who he is. And you hit the nail on the head when you said that roles in a relationship can't be gender defined. It can't be, you're the woman, so you're supposed to wash the dishes or cook or do this. I'm the man, so you should allow me to. Like, I'm handy. I can build things. And so if I'm with a man and he's not handy, I'm like, I don't want to feel like I have to like cower down or back down. I'm like, honey, hand me the hammer and the nail. I got this. I can, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be stable.
I can relate.
You know? And so, but we talked about finances. And so I want to ask that question. And I know that now when you've been together for 42 years, everything is as a pool. It's like, this is ours. But talk to me about however comfortable you are in the beginning or now with expenditures. So for me, in an ideal world, I have to tell the camera just in case somebody out there trying to provide me with an ideal world. Right. In an ideal world, there is a pool of household money that we put our money into, goes in there. And this money takes care of all of the bills, all of the household needs, the rainy day fund, our trips to wherever we like to go to, because, you know, sometimes I like to go places. And then there is what I call a mad money fund. I think that each person should have one because I like to do random and sporadic things. Like my mommy, I take care of my 71-year-old mommy. I might want to be like, yesterday, I was like, Mommy, I got to go get my nails done from a show. Want to go? I don't want to have a conversation about me spending $100 for my mom to get her nails and her feet done or to go get a makeover. I'm okay with the knowledge being out there, but I don't want to say, honey, can I go spend money on my mom? Like, I want there to just be money over there that if I want to go and buy, you follow me on Facebook, so you know how much I eat bacon.
Right.
If I want to go get all the bacon wrapped vegetables, you know, and spend $100 on that, I want to do that, right? And I don't want to take away from the household fund or our livelihood, but I do want that over there, and I want him to have that. Because if he wants to do whatever it is, I'm like, you just go right on. I'm going to be over here eating my bacon. And you just go right on. So that's what's ideal for me. What is it for you all in the beginning and or now?
Well, number one, we've always pooled. I don't know if I've ever asked for if I can go spend anything, not our bill for me. We know what's in the account. We trust each other. I would never do anything to hurt us. So if there's a major thing, we'll talk about it, but not in terms of, may I go do that? You know, I don't think. I don't think it's been that way. We'll decide on, okay, should we do it now or should we wait a month? Mm-hmm. But we trust each other with our funds. You know, I know many people that have separate accounts, but we have never done that. Mm-hmm. I wanted my money with Bill's. Bill made more money than me. Why would I want to separate my money? I would put my money with his money. So, that's real. Yeah. But I think he trusts me with the funds. I'm responsible for paying all of the bills and the household expenses. I always have been, and he trusts me with that. He doesn't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. So I think trust plays a major part, and you may want to add, but...
Well, several things. Number one, the Bible talks about a man knowing his cattle and all of his things. Translated in today's world, you ought to know where your money is. There ought not to be any surprises. You ought not to have to guess. Mm-hmm. I'm a big proponent that you ought to know not only what's in your pocket, but what's in the accounts. Mm-hmm. All of the accounts that you have, you ought to know that. That's a responsibility I believe that men have. Secondly, it's important that you do pool. I've said, and I say all the time, when I'm gone, you don't have to worry about special funds, or you had a secret account over here. Mm-hmm. If she doesn't know about it, it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Because I want her, when I'm gone, to be able to know, here's where I am, here's what we got, mm-hmm. so therefore here's what I have. Mm-hmm. So, and I just believe that ought to be that way. Yeah. And I think you ought to be responsible. Mm-hmm. You know, our pastor talks about giving, saving, and spending in that order, because that's God's prescription for it. And so you ought to tithe and give your money. I believe you ought to save what you tithe, and then you can spend the rest of it if you don't go overboard. I hesitate to say this on your program, but I'm going to say it.
No, please.
Okay, great. So I always say to our children, are you okay? I always say to our children, don't get old, black, and poor in America. That's a crime.
I agree.
Okay, so if you're not going to be old, black, and poor, by the way, if you're going to age, I'm 73, so you're going to get old if you don't die. Mm-hmm. And if you came here black, you're going to be black. Whatever color you came here, that's the color you're leaving. Mm-hmm. So you don't have but one other variable. So I believe you ought to work hard to pay attention to your finances and not have to wonder and guess. Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
I'm going to just go straight to the camera and repeat. Don't be old, black, and poor in America. I am here for every bit of that. I am, because I think that, without going too far off on that, I think that in our culture, oftentimes we're not really raised enough, a lot of times because we don't have the resources to learn how to save or to learn how to put that nest egg aside. So then you do end up old, black, and poor in America. And there's not enough of America or America's resources that cares about you to make sure that you're okay. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Bilden said a word. So I love that. So I've got to wrap up. Here's what I want you all. I'm so excited that you all are here. I feel so motivated. I'm not going to do anything crazy like go join a dating site now or something like that. I'm not quite that motivated, but I am excited that you all were here. And it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. And it means a lot to the audience because, again, there's a lot of people out there who are just looking. Mm-hmm. They're trying to figure it out. And I think that you all dropped some serious knowledge on all the folks, old and young, old, black, and poor, everybody. But more importantly, just about friendship and trust and love and, roles that aren't necessarily gender specific. Mr. Bill been in them kitchen washing them dishes. And Miss Esther been out there hammering and nailing
Yes,
some things.
absolutely.
And I think that that's important also, to know your strengths. Because if you're running a company, the head of the company is not going to know how to do everything
Right.
in the company.
That's right.
But he or she is smart enough to hire somebody in those positions who knows how to do it well.
Right.
And he doesn't lose anything by having somebody who knows what they're doing. He gains.
Absolutely.
And that's I jumped to my closing monologue, y'all. Let me go ahead and let them say something real quick so we can get on out of here. So right there in that camera, right there, Miss Esther, spend 1 minute telling my audience what your formula for everlasting love is.
Right. My formula is to not see everything as a crisis, to acknowledge that we are different people, to, before you point out the other person's weaknesses, look at your own. To always be willing to say, I was wrong, I'm sorry, and to move on. Let it go. That's it.
Awesome. Mr. Bill?
I really believe and know that family is a gift from God. And so your wife, he tells us, you ought to love your wife as Christ loves the church and gave himself for it. Your children are special blessings. And it's not a 0 to 18-year-old thing. It's a 0 forever thing with your children. And so I think men ought to be responsible for that. I think that, and then you ought to love your wife for sure. But love is an action word. That means you're doing, you are sacrificing, you are leading, you're helping to guide in a way that she would be willing to submit. Not that you're forcing her to submit, but you're doing enough to where she believes that's in her best interest. So I'm thankful to God for the wife that the Lord has blessed me with for the last 42 years. I'm praying for 42 more. Now, the math may not work out on that. For the mathematicians in the audience, you may think, oh, you're never going to make it. But who knows? The Lord can do anything. So I'm just thankful that he's given us this 42 years. I'm grateful for the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both so much for being here. Like I said, it means the world to me. It really, really does.
Thank you.
Guys, gosh, I almost don't know where to go after that because my advice feels very inferior to their 42 years of advice. But I will say this, make a conscious effort to be approachable, be available, not too available, ladies, morals, standards, God, but make a conscious effort to be available. And when I say available, I mean emotionally available, because a lot of times we have so much leftover stuff from childhood, from past relationships, from whatever. And it really, really, really impacts how we move into that next relationship, and not always in a good way. So I encourage you all to just be open. Most importantly, start checking your friend base, because you never know when that one that you think is just your best friend might be the one that's supposed to be your best friend for life. Guys, thank you so, so much. And that's Life with Sheran Keyton. for tuning in to That's Life with Sheran Keyton. If you thought that was something, you ain't seen nothing yet. #watch, #like, #share, #subscribe. See you next time.